Welcome! This is a training on oyster mushroom cultivation with the use of sawdust. In this video, I will be showing you how to grow mushrooms using sawdust as the main substrate material. I am Emmanuel William from Wimab Farm. I will be showing you the things that you will need and that I will be using for the substrate preparation. With me, this is a shovel, the normal shovel used for labor works, farm works, and other things. These are plastic pipes, just small pipes. You can just buy the normal plumbing pipes and cut into pieces. They will be useful later on. These are short ropes. Just get ropes and cut them into pieces. You will need the ropes to tie the mouth of the nylon, that is the substrate bags, before putting in the sterilizing chamber. This is a pack of nylon in which we would put our substrate mixture. You can get any available size in your locality. This is the one I will be using for this training. You can use bigger ones. These are still the same pipes, short pipes. Now, this is one of the ingredients that you can add to your sawdust. Just the way you add fertilizer to your soil. This is called rice bran. Most farmers into animal production would know rice bran. You can get rice bran at any feed mill or feed store, animal feed. Now this is sawdust. Sawdust, the waste material gotten from sawmill. Any sawmill close to you in your locality should have sawdust as a waste material. They can be gotten free or gotten at a very low price. I will be showing you the process of how to prepare your substrate, oyster mushroom substrate. One of the things you must take note of is sanitation, neatness. In the production of your mushroom, sanitation is very important. You can see me sweeping the floor where I'm going to mix the components of the substrate bags. So the first thing is to make the place neat so that you can make the place free of every form of external dirt. Although you can't totally get them off, but later on in the sterilization process you'll be able to get them off. But it's good you sweep the environment to make it clean. That's one of the first things. Right now what you're seeing is sawdust. These are sawdust. sawdust gotten from the sawmill. You can get sawdust at any sawmill close to you. Sawdust are usually waste materials for sawmill at sawmills, and you notice that most times the sawmills end up not knowing what to do to them. So for you going into mushroom production, all you need to do is to go to any of these sawmills and find a way to get the sawdust. Mostly it will be given out free to you or at a very, very cheap rate. So all you need to do is to go out, search for sawmills around you. There are other materials you can use in place of sawdust. You can use corn waste, the back of maize. When maize is harvested, the back of the maize, maize, the waste from maize are actually useful for oyster mushroom production. Both the corn husk and the corn cob, they are very, very useful for mushroom production. You can use one as the substrate materials in place of sawdust. You can use the other for production of the spawn, multiplication of the spawn multiplication. That is another aspect of mushroom production, spawn multiplication. But now this is the stage of the substrate bag preparation using sawdust. We are using sawdust for this process. You can see what I'm doing right now is that I am checking the sawdust to remove every wood particles, be it in form of big chips or small chips. The presence of these wood particles will not so much help when it comes to the ramification process, because the oyster mushroom, the mycelium is going to be taking over the bags, and it requires this the component should be in form of softened materials that can easily undergo ramification. But those hardwoods would not allow a normal flow, a normal ramification process to take place. So you try to search through the substrate bags, the sawdust rather. After pouring out the sawdust from the sawdust bags, try to search through, putting your hand through to dig deep underneath, to search through for every particles. It may not even be wood particles, it could be stone, it could be other things that are in solid form. They are not good. Their presence in your sawdust or in any of your substrate materials are not good. They would affect your production. So you check through properly to see that you remove everything. While doing this, you could just get one or two people to assist, depending on the capacity you are intending to produce. That is the capacity of the substrate bags, depending on the number of substrate bags you want to produce, or the quantity of the sawdust you intend using for the production. So right now I'm searching through to see that everything not needed are being removed before doing anything else. That is the first thing to do, because you want to have the best output. So you have to do this. Right now, what you can see is I am trying to break down every lumps, the sawdust lumps. When you go to the sawdust to pack the sawdust, or to pick your bags, if you've already loaded them already, and then you offload on your farm or at the site you want to make the substrate bags, some of those sawdust comes wet. When you pack them at the sawdust, probably rain might have dropped on them, or water in any way might have come in contact with them, and they would have clumped together. So you try to break them. After you have picked out hardened wood particles or stones or any other hardened particles, hard particles, you try to break every lumps, sawdust lumps that has clumped together. You try to break them so that the sawdust would be in their dust form. You need it to be in the powdered form or in the dust form. So you need to do that. Now, this is rice bran. Rice bran. You see, this is an ingredient that you add to the substrate bag, to the sawdust rather. You add this rice bran to the sawdust. It is just like you adding fertilizer to a soil, a normal soil for growing vegetables or growing every other crop, every other green crops. For mushrooms and oyster mushroom precisely, the soil, the substrate is a soil which is made up of majorly sawdust or any other substrate materials. It could be waste like from plants, like plantain leaves, maize waste. It could be different, anything available in your locality. If it's the plantain, you dry it, get it to the dried form. If it's the maize waste, you get it to the dried form. But this is sawdust, and then the rice bran is like an addict. You are adding something to boost the sawdust to make the growth of the mushrooms better. So the rice bran is like you adding fertilizer to the soil. So this is the way to mix your sawdust. You take it in bits. You don't rush the mixture. The process of mixing the sawdust and the rice bran, you mix them thoroughly. You mix them thoroughly because you want the best output. You mix them thoroughly. You don't rush the process. Keep watching to see how it is being done. Keep watching. You see, right now I've divided the mixture into two parts. This mixture contains the sawdust and rice bran. So I've divided them into two parts for proper mixture of what we have on ground. We are going to be mixing them thoroughly. So dividing them into two parts will enable us take them in bits. When producing in large quantity, the one for sale commercially, you want to produce commercially, the sawdust will be in a very, very large quantity than this. So you would need to divide the mixture into several parts. This is just in two parts. You can divide into 4 parts, 3 parts, and then you mix each part separately for thorough mixing. You don't want a situation in which the rice bran will be more on one part and then less on the other part. You want equal rates of the sawdust and the rice bran. So now I'm also checking for the lumps again to be sure we don't have lumps or hard particles, solid particles in the mixture. This is the second time I'm doing this, and this is after mixing the rice bran. I did it first. I checked for lumps first before adding the rice bran, and I checked again after adding the rice bran. As a mushroom farmer or a mushroom producer, you must avoid every shortcut in your production. Avoid it as much as possible, because if you skip any part, it will tell in the output. It will tell in the output. It will tell in the output. So you don't rush things. You take it step by step, step by step, step by step. Oyster mushroom is one of the easiest kinds of mushroom you can cultivate. So now we are in the stage where we are to add water to the mixture. You can see the way I'm adding the water. You don't just take the water and pour over the whole mixture. No, you add it in bits, because you don't want the mixture to be too wet. You see, one thing is, if it gets too wet, it will spoil the whole process. It must not be. You add it in bits. You add a little, you mix. You add another portion, you mix, until you get to the point in which, when you take an handful of the sawdust and skews, you feel wet in your hand, but no water drains out. That is when you take the handful and you pour it down, you look at your hand, you see the sign that something wet got what was on your hand, but it doesn't drip. The moment it's dripping, then it will affect your production, because the bags, the seeds, the spawn, which is the seed in which you will be planting, would not be able to grow well, will not be able to ramify well when the substrate appears too wet. So you need the mixture to be in a form in which it's not dripping water, but it contains water. At that point, when you dip your hand and you rub your hand on another part of your hand, you find out that there's that feel of having water in it. See the way I'm mixing it? You keep mixing step by step, step by step, step by step. It is so easy. It is so easy. Many people don't know. It is because they have not found somebody to do it in their presence, or to watch a detailed video like this. You can see it is as easy as anything you can think of. Oyster mushroom production is very, very easy, but most times you don't get to watch it as detailed as this online. And the moment you decide to try it out yourself, you end up skipping one step or the other. You can see, you can do this at the just at home in your residential apartment. You can do this. So you keep mixing, you keep mixing, you keep mixing. As I was saying earlier on, that you can do this in your residential apartment. If you have a large space, it's fine. And if you don't have a large space, you can do this at any available space you have. The production of oyster mushroom is very easy. Yes, I am still trying to break every lumps in the mixture. You can see me testing to see the level of water at this point. When you check and you see the stain, when you rub your finger after touching the mixture, you rub it and you see the stain, like that wet stain, then you know it's okay. But the moment you take it and then water keeps dripping from your hand, then you should know that the substrate is too wet. At that time, it won't be good for the process in that state. So what you need to do is to top up the sawdust a little, add some dried sawdust to it and remix, so as to get the desired water level in the mixture. So what you just do is top up the sawdust, add some dried sawdust to the mixture, and you might also need to add a little rice bran to it. This is to absorb the excess water in the mixture. So you keep mixing, you keep mixing, you keep mixing till you get that perfect state. You see, this is a very, very comprehensive video where you are seeing the whole process practically. I would show you everything, how it is done. It is not an impossible task. You can do this, start your own mushroom farm, be growing mushrooms in any available space you have. It could be a room you have, if an empty room. It could be a small closet you have. Start growing mushrooms. This is an indoor farm. It's an indoor farm. It's an indoor farm. If you have the money, you can invest in a structure, a very good structure. But if you don't have that, you can convert whatever space you have for mushroom production. Oyster mushroom precisely. Oyster mushrooms are still oyster mushroom is still one of the mushrooms that grows well in this part of the world, in Africa and in Nigeria precisely. oyster mushroom grows very well because it doesn't need so much uh, 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 special climate, cold climate. If you have a a very cold climate, that is the best for mushrooms. But in this part of the world, Nigeria, where we don't have so much cold climate compared to other countries, other non-African countries. This part of the world, oyster mushroom still grows, still is still able to grow. The mycelium are still able to grow in this part of the world, but you would need to do a lot of wetting because the growth of mushrooms requires cold environment. So in place of that cold climate in which we don't have, we would be wetting the bags frequently. So we are still at the stage of mixing, preparing the substrate. Substrate preparation. Yes, you can see. Are you enjoying what you are viewing? Oh, awesome. Awesome. If you were told you could grow mushrooms from the comfort of your home, I'm sure you would not believe it. But in this video, I will show you how to grow mushroom from the comfort of your home. You can grow and eat fresh mushrooms from the comfort of your home. Ah ha ha ha. Yes, you can. You can have it. Mushrooms are very nutritious. You need to have a taste of it. They are very sweet and very nutritious. We keep mixing, we keep mixing, we keep mixing. You see, one unique thing about oyster mushroom production is that they are different from from green crops, in which you just harvest, maybe some you harvest once and then you have to replant. No, oyster mushroom keep fruiting. It keeps fruiting until the bags are spent. That is um the old ramified mycelium have been spent. That is, they've all produced. The more the bag keep producing, you see that the mycelium keeps losing its color. That is, the whitish color that surrounds the bag keeps it begins to fade out as the bags begins to produce. Yes. So right now we have mixed our substrates and they are ready to be bagged, to be put in the bags. There are several things you can use for your bags, your substrate, that is the carrier, to carry the substrate before you go sterilize. You can use nylons, you can use plastics, you can use rubber, any rubber material. You can even use clothes, depending on what you have available, what you have, what's available to you. So for this video, for this training, I will be using nylon. This nylon are very much available in my locality. So I'll be using nylon. I'll be showing you how to bag them. Two methods of using the nylon. Yes, this is the first method. You see, this first method is you just take the nylon and then you serve the substrate mixture, the mixed substrate. You serve it into the nylon directly, and that is what I'm doing. You serve it. just the way you serve food. You serve the mixture depending on the level of the nylon can be at any the level of mixture you put in the bag in the nylon can be at any level. Depends on what how big you want the nylon to be. There is no specified quantity. No, it depends on how big you want it to be. Yes, depends on how big you want it to be. And then yes, what I'm doing now is I'm pressing down the substrate, the mixed substrate. The reason for this is to to remove every air that is in between the substrate. You want air to expel out. Yes, you want the substrate to come together, to be close, to be packed together, so that when the spawn is after the spawn has been added and then ramifications start taking place, you don't want any breakage in between the bags that will prevent the mycelium from spreading fast. So you want the substrate to be well connected to themselves. Now I'm showing you the second way of using the nylon. Watch this. You see the way I will be folding it to achieve a particular goal. You can see the way I tied the nylon. I tied it, that's like a knot. Yes, watch what I will be doing now. You see, I'm turning over the nylon. Can you see? Can you see? Keep watching. Make sure you are watching with full attention. Watch with full attention. Watch with full attention. This video is detailed enough. After watching this video, you should be able to start your own substrate bag preparation. Keep watching. Keep watching. Keep watching. Keep watching. As you can see, almost everything we have been using are cheap, are either gotten free or gotten at a very cheap price. So you don't spend so much when working on your substrate bag preparation. No, you don't spend much. It's an indoor farm. Can you see I also pressed it to release every hair between the substrate materials. Yes, keep watching. You serve the bags. Sorry, I wanted to say serve your food. You serve you serve the bags well. You serve the bags well. Keep watching. Can you see the difference between the two bags? The one tied underneath, in which I turned, you see that it can't contain as much substrate materials as the one I didn't turn. You can see the way the uh, uh, bottom looks. Yes, you see that the one I did not turn is difficult for it to stand, but the one I turned has a very flat bottom and can stand anywhere. The advantage of this is that by the time you want to take this to the sterilizing chamber, be it be it an autoclave, or you're using the local way by using an iron drum, and then a source of heat. Whichever you'll be using, be it autoclave, an iron drum, or any pot, it will be easy for the substrate bag that in which the nylon was turned, to be easy for that bag to stand inside the sterilizing chamber and will not give you so much problem, unlike the one which I didn't turn. Although the one I didn't turn contains more substrate materials, but it could fall off inside the sterilizing chamber, and it's gonna affect your work, your production. So depends on you. If you are able to be if you are able to position the bags well enough and it doesn't turn, fine, you can decide not to tie the nylon and turn it over. But if you know it's gonna you prefer the other way, that's the best. That's the best way. Yes, that's the best way to do it. Yes, keep watching. Keep watching. Oyster mushroom production is very, very profitable. Very You could just decide to be producing substrate bags alone and sell. Yes, you can just decide to focus on one stage of the production and then market it. It is very profitable. Keep watching. So I moved to the other part of the substrate, the mixed substrate material. Yeah, you can see I used a nose mask. This is to prevent exposure to dust. When the sawdust and the rice bran were dried, before I added water, it releases dust. And for your health state, it is advisable you use a nose mask to prevent you from inhaling dust, which can affect your health negatively. So those are one of the precautions to take note of. Use a nose mask. It's also good if you can use a face cap or any form of protective for your hair. The reason for this is to prevent dust from covering your hair. Yes. While trying to mix, some particles of the wood might uh, um, jump over and then drop on your hair. Yes, so it's good to protect yourself. I also use a farm boot. This is the best. It helps you protect your feet from um, stepping on hard substances that can hurt your legs. Yes, if you don't have all of these, notwithstanding, you can still go on with your production using alternatives around you. Now, what I'm doing is I'm tying these bags. You saw the rope I showed you earlier. You just need to get any small rope around, not an elastic rope, not in form of rope. You can use rubber band, but it is not advisable based on my own experience. Because the reason is, you are going to take during the sterilization process, you are subjecting these bags to high heat, and then you would not want a situation whereby you use the rubber band and it lost its elasticity, and then the rubber band cuts inside the sterilizing chamber. By the time it cuts, you might end up seeing your sawdust turned out from the nylon, which will not be good. That's a waste of effort because it will have been soaked with water, and if you can't use it, that will be a waste of resources for you, and you would not want that. So I advise you use a rope that is non-elastic. You can just get a rope, cut it in pieces, short forms, just to tie the mouth of the nylon before moving them to the sterilizing chamber. Yes, that's a perfect one. Yes, you can see it. So you can see, keep watching, keep watching, keep watching. Keep watching. The substrate preparation is easy. All you need to do is follow the steps. Remember, you don't joke with sanitation, cleanliness. That is one key secret to achieve success in the production of mushrooms, be it the substrate bag or the or the inoculation stage. That is when you are going to be doing the adding of the spawn, the planting. Yes, you need to work in a clean environment. Sterilize the bags properly. After this stage, the next stage is to take these bags to the sterilizing chamber. Yes, it is to subject the bags to high heat to kill every germs, dirt, every form of microbes that you can think of. You subject it to high heat for a period of time. You can either use an autoclave, or you can use other alternatives, which I will be showing you. I'll be showing you one in this training. You would see other ways you can sterilize your substrate bags if you don't have an autoclave. So I'm sure you have learned a lot from this section of the training. Keep learning.